Hi, I'm Adam Tierlink, and I had the opportunity to interview a couple members of the faculty here at BYU regarding student success and what their opinions are on how students can be successful in their college life and their post-college life as they continue to be married, to find a job and prepare themselves for the future. I had the chance to interview two professors, two very different people. One, Dr. Bergeson from Physical Science, and Dr. Watkins from Doctrine and Covenants. And they both have very different teaching styles and very different topics, so I thought I'd give a good perspective on how they viewed progressing well in their classes, being a spiritual and temporal subject, and how they believed that students could best succeed. Dr. Bergeson talked a lot about, in his class, we talked a lot about how we can appreciate God more through our physical science courses, and how we can, through different laws, different theories, we can come to understand how He works better in our world and better understand what He has prepared for us, which I thought was really interesting when he said that his main purpose is to strengthen our testimonies as we go through the class, not only in God Himself, but in His ways and His actions, really. How all that came to be around us came from Him. And He really desired that we maintain that testimony as well through our studies and through our coursework, which I really found interesting. He mentioned how he came here to BYU, how what helped him the most was actually failing. He didn't do spectacular in his classes, and he learned to not care about grades as much. He learned best from his mistakes, and that's what drove him to do better. He majored in physics, and I asked him why he started teaching, and he said, because who doesn't love to teach? And I found that very applicable to me too. As I learn more about a specific subject that I am intrigued by, it makes me want to reach out and help others understand it the way I do as well. He said the best way to survive in college and to keep going is to just keep learning from your mistakes and just working as hard as you can after you make those mistakes so you can continue to progress. I found that very true. And Dr. Watkins said something very similar. He went here to BYU for a couple years, went to UNLV for a couple years, and he studied more of a historical side of his degree as a what's it called? What do you call it? He's just as a historian, he studies more about the culture of the past and how it applies now, instead of just learning about event after event and after event. So it applies well to Doctrine and Covenants, as he studied that at his different universities. And he said that as he tried to get better grades and better grades, it made him focus more on the pathway of learning. He told me that as we try and get over certain humps, as we try and tackle different challenges, it helps to pull our knowledge from other areas or other interests from other areas and help them apply it to how we can tackle subjects that don't seem to connect very well. He said he wrote a math paper on different parts of the Doctrine and Covenants, how he started to measure how many times different words were used, and found different math equations and other observations, which I found very interesting. He said to really learn how to use your tools is a great way to be successful as a student, whether it be TAs meeting with the professor himself, or different review sessions, different textbooks, everything you can. Because he mentioned that he just spent hours after classes to just keep learning, keep progressing, and learning how to really understand what the teacher wanted from him at the time, so he could learn how to not only get an A in the class, but as well as learning and preparing himself as a person. And that helped him become a historian as he is today. One more thing he wanted to mention was being comfortable with knowing what we don't know. And he mentioned that he's still learning things new every day, and there's a lot of things that history doesn't tell us. And Dr. Bergeson touched on this too, but knowing our limits isn't the worst thing in the world, but it helps us push ourselves into a way we can get out of our comfort zone and really try to know as much as we can to grow as people and to grow in our intellect as well. And the both of them pretty much said, as long as you're working your butt off and you're trying your best to figure out the unknown, that you'll be successful as a student. And I've tried putting that into practice recently, and it's helped me, first of all, gain better motivation in my classes, and second of all, to understand the teacher's point of view and how they want us to learn as well. So I learned a lot from this interview, and it helped me realize teachers' perspectives on students, and I actually gave a few tips to the professors because they requested it on how they can better teach. So overall, I feel like I'm a better student because of it, and I have a better desire in my classes to work harder, to understand what the teachers need of us and how we can best grow as people as well. So yeah,